Devraj is one of the characters, and Aditi is the woman, the one woman in the book. And Devraj is injured. He's in hospital, and Aditi's been looking after him. And this is a section from there.
Devraj felt restless. He had slept the whole afternoon and now, in the evening, felt cooped up. Aditi had been completely avoiding him the last few days. The Malay nurse, he kept forgetting her name, had taken over. Her rather rough, matter-of-fact ministrations, very different from Aditi's careful hands. He was irritated by Aditi's absence, her recalcitrance, her refusal to meet him halfway. To hell with her prissy Miss Two Shoes. He rang his bell, but no one came. Where was everybody? He struggled to ease himself out of his bed and managed to collapse onto his wheelchair. Outside, the cold antiseptic smell of the floor cleaners made him sneeze. He could see the nurse's station at the far end, light spilling out of an open door. But he didn't fancy talking to any of them. He felt a cool current of air coming from somewhere. He swerved and headed for its promise of freedom. A veranda led out onto a small walled garden. Crickets chirped. The oversweet fragrance of some nocturnal flower, the damp smell of earth, filled his lungs. It was turning dark, twilight softening the outlines of the little stone cherub perched under a drooping willow. He suddenly thirsted for a stiff drink and a cigarette. He thought of Nishanko, how he would never light a second cigarette from his match, calling it sniper bait. One strike, the enemy can't draw a bead. But you pass the flame to another cigarette, he's got you in his cross sights, and poof, your head bursts like a watermelon as you bend down to cup the light. All of a sudden, he missed Nishanko. Missed his dry, reserved manner, his down-to-earth words. He missed Pandeyji, and even the ever-disapproving Captain Nawaz. He missed the male ribaldry and the clean single-mindedness of soldiers engaged in battle. He realized that none of them had tried to find out how he was, that the knowledge had been secretly rankling inside. Did no one care? Or maybe they didn't even know where he... Or maybe they didn't even know where he was. A shadow darkened the doorway. A figure in white, a nurse, stood there, shoulders hunched, indistinct in the twilight. "Hello?" Devraj called out softly. She straightened up, stepped into a spill of light. It was Aditi. He was absurdly happy to see her. She drew in a deep, shuddering breath. "What are you doing out here?" "Following doctor's orders, doing my evening constitutional." "Where's everybody?" He was glad to have her back. She shook her head as if trying to clear it. "One of the operations up north, it went wrong. We've all been busy." "Are you okay?" A long sigh of bone tiredness. She absent-mindedly started peeling off surgical gloves. He saw they were soaked in blood. He noticed that she still had a surgical mask curled around her throat. Without looking at him, she started to talk in a flat monotone. "They tell us it's useless, to waste time and supplies on the ones who are too damaged. It's so tough to get medicines, morphine. We're always running short. So who deserves them more? The ones who can continue to fight, or the ones who've already fought so hard and sacrificed so much? We make that call every night. We play God." He wheeled his chair, reached out his hand. She took it absent-mindedly, slowly sliding down the stone wall till she was resting on the stone flags, propped against his bandaged leg. He cupped his hand on the nape of her neck. She leaned back, accepting the solace. They accept our professional judgment silently. No complaints. But their eyes, they grudge their eyes. What happens if we're wrong? Maybe if he'd held on a little longer, given him some more penicillin, maybe... Who did you lose? Too many. Anwar Qasim. A big bull of a man. A laugh like a big drum. Told me to give the morphine to the bachas, the kids. Went so gently into the night with his God's name on his shattered lips. She started to cry softly, hot, fat drops. He leaned forward and enfolded her, burying his face in the springly, curly, cloudy mass of her hair. She smelled of hay, spring water, oranges, and lime. They remained like that for a long moment. Then she stirred, turned her face up to his. He stared at her at the wide apart eyes, the dark bruises of weariness like smudged coal underneath. She stared back. His hair had grown back curly. He had not been shaving, and his cheeks, hollow, thin, were shadowed with the beginnings of a beard. The irises of those grey, gold-flecked eyes were wide open, dilated like a cat's. The scar across his forehead, still healing, was a livid pink. She reached up to touch it with her fingertips. He held them, brought them to his lips. Then they kissed, chaste at first, the merest brush of lip against lip. Then exploring, feeling their way. Then the shock of hunger, and finally the plunge into the wet, secret recesses of each other.